I'm Erin, I'm the Content Manager at APMP, and you're watching On the Record with APMP. Today I'm joined by Lisa Puckrin, who is a Federal Proposal Manager with Intel, and she's here to talk to me today about generative and traditional AI and how it's shaping the proposal world. From your perspective, what's been happening in the proposal world lately with AI?
I think it's really been kind of shock and awe. I first came to BPC back in 2023, and everybody was talking about generative AI and how it was impacting our world. We were all scared it was going to take our jobs, and I was so grateful to come for APMP and to come to BPC. I learned so much that year, and it has increased. Like, the intensity has increased, and I think it's created a lot of uncertainty in that people don't really understand what they can trust and what they can't trust. And they think that generative AI is a recent thing, but really traditional AI has been around since 1980. We just haven't really realized it. It was quietly improving our lives, but now a very disruptive generative AI has come on the scene, a very powerful, a very dangerous. So it's important to understand those differences.
So you are distinguishing here between traditional and generative AI. Could you give me a little rundown as an AI novice of the difference between those two things?
Yeah, I was sitting in I work for Intel. I was sitting in an AI training, and they showed this slide, and it showed mature AI, and it talked about the different iterations of AI. So from the 80s, like natural language processing, machine learning, how it's evolved over the years, and that it's really become like a mature, a trusted AI. But then as generative AI has come on the scene and been very disruptive to our world, we really need to know that we can trust traditional AI, as we've trusted it for decades now, but we need to be really careful with generative AI because of the inherent risks with it.
And you talk about those inherent risks. What risks does generative AI pose that aren't present with traditional AI?
Traditional AI returns data exactly. It's super reliable. It's not going to change it. It's not going to create something new. But generative AI is like this eager child who can't wait to show you what it can do. And it is going to create something new. And it might hallucinate. It might make stuff up. It might emit stuff. And it might even sound kind of like generative AI to where it's recognizable in its own voice and brand, which is really interesting. And so I think that we have to be careful. Some people don't realize it might hallucinate. They think they can just run something through it and they don't need to worry or check it. And people are over trusting generative AI right now. So we need to learn that you have to be careful, you have to check. It can hallucinate, it can emit things. And as long as we're careful, it's very powerful, but we have to make sure that we're using it the right way.
And as traditional and generative AI kind of exist, they coexist, where is it more beneficial to be using generative AI and where is it more beneficial to be using traditional AI?
Well, when you think about RFP questions and answers, you really want reliable answers. I keep saying that lawyers would freak out if they knew we were going to answer RFP questions with generative AI because it will change the answers. It will create something new every single time. We need traditional AI to answer those RFP questions and return that data exactly as it was written by the lawyers, by the technical experts. So we need traditional AI to do that, but we also need generative AI. We need it to create new things like cover letters and executive summaries and feed it thoughts and ideas and have it create new content for us. Just very different uses.
And you've touched quite a bit so far on this idea of trust with generative AI. How can we make sure that we're using it safely?
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize if you go out and use a public site like ChatGPT, it's free, so a lot of people just go out and use it, but they don't realize that anything you put in on a public site, it is ingesting it and it is reusing and sharing it. It's like, again, the 6-year-old that's like, hey, new data, I'm going to tell everybody about it. So people are putting company proposals out there on the internet and feeding this information. and they're not realizing that it's going to share it with everyone all over the world. So we should be really careful not to use public free sites, use them within our company firewalls because it cuts it off and it keeps it in a secure environment. I also think that I interviewed several response management platforms, and they're doing great things with controlling the power of generative AI. They're doing things like lowering the temperature and using retrieval augmented generation RAG to take the power of generative AI but point it to trusted sources to make sure it will return the answers more safely. So there's a lot of great things that are happening. Controlling outputs, also making sure that the information has like confidence scores and things. So we know, okay, that answer, hey, high score, I can trust that. But hey, low score, I better check that. It also shows you sources of where things came from, and so it's great to be able to fact check that. So basically, the long and short of it is that if we use traditional AI, we can trust that it's going to return it exactly. We can trust to use it. If we're using generative AI, we need to make sure we're using it safely and in a controlled environment, and we need to check it. We need to make sure that it's doing what we think it's going to be doing.
Great. But with that then, if we're having to check it so much and we're having to really audit our trust in it, how can we still use it effectively?
That's really it. I was thinking about when I was a kid and how I used to ride on the seesaws. Do you remember? I don't know, did they have those in the UK with like the little...
Yeah. I love it.
So thinking about it, we shouldn't really just use technology for technology's sake. We should use it because it's going to save time, it's going to help us do our jobs better. So I think of it as a seesaw where, where if you're in a heavy environment where you have tons of RFP questions, you're lots of legal and compliance, you really want to rely on traditional AI and make sure that it's returning that data exactly. You don't have time to check all those. I've worked on RFPs where we were answering 500, 1,000, 3,000 RFP questions. There's no way we have time to check all that. So we need to rely on traditional AI to return that exactly, because we know we don't have to check it. When we're using generative AI, maybe we're working for a small business or a medium business and there's not as many proposals, so you can experiment more with generative AI because you have time to check it more. So it's just, where's that tipping point? What are your volumes like, and how should you invest your time? And if you're in that high volume, you probably don't have as much time to invest in generative AI. If you have more time available, you can check it, you can play with it a bit more.
So we've been talking quite a lot about what the picture looks like now, but what is that picture going to look like in the future, do you reckon?
That's evolving and changing so much. Like, here we are talking about traditional AI and generative AI. The next big thing is agentic AI, and I've heard tons of sessions already today. It's only the first day. I've heard tons of people talking about agentic AI, and basically agentic AI is like taking tasks and doing tasks like a human could in a sequential, in an ordered way, even thinking about what it should do. And it was really interesting. I was in a Intel training just last week, and they have predicted, which is really mind-blowing, but they have predicted that by 2030, managers will have to manage human employees, but also manage agent bots. So can you imagine, as a manager, you're not only responsible for all of the human people, you're responsible for how a bot will perform and do its job. And so this hybrid workforce is coming, where we're going to have to understand AI, we're going to have to make sure it's doing its job effectively and safely. So unfortunately, even though this is a really overwhelming topic for so many people, we really have to start embracing this, because it's already evolving on to the next thing. It's taking over our world. But if you use trusted platforms and you have, ask them how many years they've been in business, make sure they're, how many customers they have. If you're using secure and safe technology that's bringing in these new technologies like generative AI and bringing in agentic AI, it can help you use it in a safe and responsible way.
With all of this conversation about AI, it is everywhere right now, and naturally with all these technological evolutions and the changes that are happening so rapidly, people are going to feel overwhelmed. What would you say to colleagues or viewers who are feeling overwhelmed by all this right now?
Yeah, it's totally understandable. I mean, I was an English major in college. I never thought I was going to have to learn all. I purposefully thought I would be just writing. And it is very overwhelming. I think the big thing we have realized over the last few years is it's here to stay. And unfortunately, we need to learn it. We need to embrace it. I think it's going to become a job requirement. We're going to see on LinkedIn that we have to understand AI and use it effectively. So what I would say is, look for those who are feeling a little more confident, have more experience. It's great to come to BPC, go to all the classes, listen to everything, watch the recordings, and then find these AI champions in your team. Like, some people are going to gravitate to this earlier, and some are going to be a little more hesitant. So have an AI champion in your team and have them teach and help others. And really, we're all helping each other. There are no experts right now in this. It is all evolving so fast. I feel like what I knew last year is already outdated. I'm trying to learn what's happening this year with agentic AI. So it really is an ongoing process. Ask questions, be curious, listen, and just know that we're all going to have to adopt this. It's just trying to learn from each other and help each other through this.
It's so interesting how the big concern has kind of evolved from, is AI going to take my job, to how am I going to work with AI in my job? Because what you're talking about with agentic AI and proposal managers managing bots, it does sound very much like this human AI collaboration is going to continue long term.
Yeah, definitely. It's here to stay. It's all about how we make sure we're just using it safely and effectively. And then, how can we make sure that we're getting time investment back? We shouldn't just use it for no reason. We need to make sure that it's making us better at our jobs. So, I encourage people just to play with it, do fun things with it. Find a tool like ChatGPT within your company so it's safe, but use it, play with it, and just try to experiment and learn with it. But it is overwhelming for everyone, but we can get through this together as an industry.
I love that. And when you're saying play with it, how do you recommend that someone starts to play with ChatGPT?
Yeah, a really simple example is find your LinkedIn profile and grab the link, the URL, tell ChatGPT within your instance to create a one-page resume or something like that.
Okay.
Just see how it performs easily. Feed it a couple of bullet points about an opportunity, again, within your environment. Make sure you're not putting stuff out on the internet, but feed it some information about the proposal you're working on and say, hey, create a cover letter, create an executive summary. So just very simple things that you can start to see it. You can see the power, the limitations, the risks, try to understand it all. And no matter what, just make sure if you're using it to check everything. If you're using generative AI, make sure that you're using it safely and you're checking, and make sure that you get that quality output.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. It's been great to chat with you.
Appreciate it.
You will notice that on the table in front of you there is a golden microphone. These are keepsakes from our very first recording session of our new On the Record with APMP, and that is yours to keep. So
thank you.
I hope you enjoy it and put it pride of place in your home.
I know, very first. This is awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.